What's up? It's Joey
and Krispy, and this is the Knux on Rhapsody TV. The guitars are much bigger on this album. They're like much more out front because we wanted to make the record sound like how we sounded live. You know, we grew up listening to like punk rock, and like my mom like basically forced like psychedelic rock down our throats. You know what I mean? We're like rocker dudes. Like we're not like, you know what I mean? It's like for us, we're not trying. That's just like who we are. We're MCs and we're rockers. Yes, they do meet somewhere.
I mean, before we was even MCs, we were jazz musicians. We played in jazz band. We learned how to read, write, and compose music. You know, before we even decided to even start rapping. You know, so we were musicians before anything. I think the biggest misconception, just about us in general, because of the hip hop influence and how we were introduced in. A lot of people don't know is we've always, and we still do, we're self-produced. So we've always produced our own songs, and it never was like a beat type of situation where like someone would submit beats and we kind of like, you know, put songs to things that we have no attachment to. You know,
the great thing about working with Kid Cudi is he's an artist. You know, he's an MC too, but he's an artist at the core. He's like us. He doesn't really care about like a lot of the hip hop rules and these unwritten hip hop rules. He doesn't really care about that. We met in the club popping bottles. You can go to a club and pop bottles, but not talk about that in his songs. You know what I mean? Because those two things don't have any bearing on each other. You know what I mean? Just because you pop bottles don't mean you're like not a deep person. You know what I mean? Or you don't cry at night. But with Cudi, it's like he's a human being, you know, so you get all these sides of him, all these facets of him, and people think he's crazy. It's like people think me and Joey are crazy, but we're just human beings, you know. We're like Oasis and the Bee Gees. We do a lot of fighting.
It's less actual physical fist fights. Before there was a lot of this actual physical fist fights, but now it's like it's productive fights.
Actually, a bunch of our fans were like, when we got to the Midwest, was like, oh, we saw you guys at Lollapalooza, blah, blah. You guys were, you know, it was the greatest show I've ever seen, man. We didn't even go to see you guys, and you guys were on the main stage in the middle of the day, and it was the only thing, and everybody was out there, and it was just crazy. It was raining, and it was just, I felt some kind of thing. I was like, it's like, yeah, I didn't realize we had a real fist fight before that. Like, literally, like, that's why it was so intense. Our whole crew had to, like, break us up, and it was, like, really bad. It was a bad fight. Like, we were bruised up. If you look at any interviews from that day, we were, like, I think I had, like, a black eye.